So just back from Staveley in the Lake District from the wheelbase demo ride. It was really good, enjoyable. Did the expert route 2 times round, did the S150 first and then the G170-S second. I'll give you a quick roundup as you watch through the video. Hope you enjoy. Come on YouTube, gotta get up now. I have a black Americano to go. Do contactless. Okay, so last year I was seeing lots of great reviews of the Whyte G170-S. It's really amazing suspension setup and loads of travel. And I was kind of wondering, maybe this is my next bike. And then I saw the S150, which got even better reviews, if that's possible. And I was wondering, is this my next bike? Because I was quite interested in a 29er as well. So although it may seem a bit crazy setting Whyte S150 versus Whyte G170-S, because it's not really a direct comparison, it's more a comparison of the bikes that I was interested in buying. Great price point, designed in Britain for British riding. So let's see what happens. Check it now and again, see what's going on. The guys who sit in traction do the majority of the building sort of. Well, halfway up this hill, this bike climbs pretty damn well. Now that I've got the saddle in the right position. Felt like I was riding downhill on an uphill. Tires are set for tubeless, 18 psi at the front, 25 at the back. Okay, so what's the S150 like? Well, brilliant. Really well balanced, great climbing bike, good on the descents, just feels easy to move around, and the suspension feels very plush and just very, very well balanced. It absorbs big hits really well. The bike feels super stable. It was just a joy to ride, to be quite honest. Okay, so I'm just going to summarise the build on both of these bikes. Let's start with the G170-S. It comes with an aluminium frame, 180mm Yari fork, 170mm Deluxe R-shock, WTB I-29 rims, guide T-brakes with 200mm rotors front and rear, a Convict WTB front tyre and Trail Boss WTB rear, and that's running SRAM NX Eagle. Over to the S150, that's running a 150mm Pike with a 42mm custom offset, a 150mm Deluxe RT shock. Again, the same wheels with WTB I-29 rims, High Roller 2 front tyre, a Recon rear tyre. This one's got SRAM GX Eagle, guide R brakes, and they have 180mm front and rear on the rotors on the medium. If you want a larger rotor, you need to go to the large or extra large. Let's talk about the good for both bikes. The handlebars, grip, stem, saddle, front tyre, dropper post and suspension. Some really good standard build kit on both bikes for the cockpit and for your ride comfort, so you don't really need to see a change or do an upgrade. Let's talk about the good for the G170-S. The suspension. It felt great on both small chatter and big huge hits. There's no complicated control, just ride. There's no lockout though. Planted bike park and mini downhill bike. It's good brakes with no concerns on stopping power with 200mm front and rear rotors. You'll really love to push bigger and bigger stuff with this bike. What about the bad for the G170-S? Well, the SRAM NX shifting was poor and it struggled to be accurate. The Whyte technicians complained that they had to do more work to keep the bearings and parts lubed on the rear derailleur to keep it working efficiently, and described the exact shifting issue I had coming up from the 50-tooth cog to the next two cogs. This made getting the front down on technical climbs a real problem as I shifted up, wanting more torque, and the bike did nothing in terms of the shifts. So it's not a climbing bike and is listed as Gravity Enduro on Whyte's website. I'd definitely say shuttle days at a bike park is not a comfortable pedalling machine even on the flat. Okay, let's talk about the good for the S150. Great suspension feel, good solid feeling wheels. The front cockpit and saddle just as comfortable and solid as the G170-S. It's really stable on the climbs and descents where the suspension felt active and accurate. The bike just had more grip than I'm used to, and it encouraged more aggressive lines the more I rode. The bad for the S150. Well, the medium comes spec'd with the 180mm guide R brakes front and back. And if you want 200mm rotor at the front, you need to buy large and above. They were underpowered, although not scary, but on an enduro race I'd want much more capability to stop based on going faster on a stable and accurate suspension. The bad for both bikes? Well, the tyres are okay, but just okay, and just on the front. I would want to switch around and upgrade to cope with British weather and trail conditions. I felt the front go more on the G170 during the climbs and the rear go on the S150 during the climbs. It was quite wet and sloppy, the conditions, to be honest, but you know, I'd still expect a little bit better grip, and tyres can be an expensive upgrade. The question I still have around the 150 being my next bike choice is about the custom fork offset and future upgrades. If it's a bike I buy for the long term, what options do I have? This fork was built by SRAM specially for this bike, and so I haven't seen a 29-inch fork yet with the same travel and offset as an aftermarket option. The Pike is capable, but there was only a low-speed compression to tweak. It was a superb bike, but then there are a lot of superb 29 options and quite a few at this price point and below. The demo day was really great fun, the guides and technicians were brilliant, and a big thank you to Neil from Whyte, who patiently set up my bike with multiple tweaks. A thank you to the guides who completed the fastest puncture repair I've seen to get my ride up and going when I smashed through a rock garden and discovered someone had put a tube in the G170. So when making a decision between these bikes, for me it's a really simple choice. The S150 is a great bike to ride and suits me perfectly for the riding that I do. G170 is a good bike if you're really into big hitting gravity days. Enduro, it doesn't really sit in the enduro category. The Whyte guys told me that the enduro team for them run the S150, so that tells enough of a story.
Right, sorry folks. Ta-ta-ta. Thank you very much. Yeah, all the way down. That's why these kind of bikes generally don't move into trail category, because it's a different application. These full-blown DH bikes, you know, they're even lower, they're even slacker, they're impossible to pedal uphill. In fact, that's why you do it. So this is kind of halfway.
Yeah, halfway house. It certainly went up the hills all right, actually. I was okay with that. Yeah.